So you've been watching a lot of videos about manifestation, you've been reading blog posts, articles, whatever it may be, and you've been trying visualization or scripting, you've got your vision boards up and all this stuff you're doing and you've been doing for months and nothing's happening. I want to talk to you today about what you need to actually do before you start manifesting and before you start using these manifestation techniques. I was actually going to go straight into the 10 types of manifestation I spoke about in my previous video and go into each one in more depth, but I thought this was probably actually better because it's quite often we forget to actually do this and to actually consider it before we start doing manifestations. The fact is, you are manifesting all the time. It's called the law of attraction for a reason. It is a law, and therefore you're attracting things into your life. So you are manifesting all the time. The problem is what you're manifesting. So think of your brain and your thoughts as radio waves. And those radio waves emit from your head, your brain basically, and they go out and then they bounce back. Like normal sound waves and stuff do. If you shout at a wall, the sound waves travel to the wall and then they bounce back, and that's how you actually hear them. If they went into a void, you wouldn't hear anything. So think of it the same way, that your thoughts are waves, radio waves, thought waves, and they get emitted and then they bounce back to you, and that's what you send out and what you receive. But the problem is you have to consider what you're actually sending out and what thoughts you actually have. So instead of trying all these methods and just constantly hitting your head against a brick wall, just stop. Just stop for just a couple seconds and think about what thoughts you're actually projecting. What's actually in your brain right now? What's in your mind? What are you thinking of? If those are thoughts, negative thoughts, if you're in a desperate, fearful, even angry or just a state where you are feeling negative, then all your thoughts are going to be negative and what you're projecting is negative. It doesn't matter how much you try and force yourself to think positively and get into this high vibration. And, you know, people speak about the high vibration and the low vibration. You've got to get yourself into a high vibrational state. And it sounds almost like you need to go and get a university degree or something to get into this state of high vibration, or you have to become spiritually awakened, and you have to become a guru or something like that. But it's actually not that complicated. What it basically means is your state of being, your emotional state. So if you are in a negative frame of mind, then you are going to be in a low vibration. But if you are happy, joyful, peaceful, you're going to move yourself into a higher vibration. And that's what it really basically means at the end of the day. So to get back to the point, just stop. Just scan yourself. Just think about what you're actually, or consider what you're actually thinking in this particular moment. Is it negative or is it positive? Now, there is a thing called the 7 ± 2 rule, and this basically states that at any given time you have between 5 or 9 thoughts. So if you're in a very passive and peaceful state, you know, just before you're going to sleep or something like that, you've got at least 5 thoughts in your head at one time. And if you're in a very active state, then you've got as many as 9 thoughts. So at any given time, you have a number of thoughts in your head. And then what happens is, let's say, for instance, you have 7 thoughts. You're in an in-between passive and active state. So you've got 7 thoughts in your head. And your brain picks one, analyzes it, processes it, and takes action on it, whatever it needs to do with that particular thought, and then it discards it, and another thought then comes in to replace that one. So at any given time you have that amount of thoughts within your brain. So you're always thinking. I mean, if you're not thinking, then you're probably dead. And I know you're not dead because you're watching my video here. So we can discard that idea. But those thoughts, what are those thoughts? As I say, if they're negative thoughts, you are projecting negative ideas. If they're positive thoughts, you're projecting positive ideas. And those negative thoughts will go out and they'll come back. And you can't force yourself to get into this positive frame of mind or this high vibration. You probably do it for like 5 minutes maybe, but then your day carries on and you get back into this negative frame of mind. So before you do any kind of manifestation, any manifestation technique, you need to first calm your mind and get into a high vibration. And there are a few steps that I'm going to go through now in order to help you calm your mind. They're quite simple. I actually got this idea and I use it myself from a channel by Master Sri Akashana. It's Eric Ho. Go have a look, search for him. He's absolutely excellent guy. I think he's marvelous. So the 4 steps are basically breath, concentration, body, and then stillness. So if we start with the first one, breath. This isn't meditation. In all of these, it's only in the last one, stillness, where you're actually going to meditate, because meditation itself is about getting into a no-thought state, which I'll discuss just now because you can't actually not think of anything. But I'll get to that just now. But before you get to meditation, you need to calm your mind, and then you can meditate, and then you can visualize, and then you can start doing manifestation. At the end of this process, you're basically open to the universe, to source, whatever it may be, whatever you may want to call it, and you are connected spiritually, mentally, and physically. And at that point, you can then manifest, and basically just manifest, and you get it. It's yours in the now. So the first step is breath, and this is using breathing techniques to calm the mind. And very, very simple. There are some advanced breathing exercises which I'm not going to go into now, probably do it in the future. But a simple exercise is what I call bellows breathing, or some people call it abdominal breathing. So just as I'm talking through this, just breathe and become conscious of your breath as it's going in and out. So just breathe in through your nose, out through your nose. Just take a nice deep breath. Now, as you're breathing, you probably know this already because I'm sure you've watched lots of videos and read lots of stuff on this topic. We only breathe in the top 20% of our lungs. So what you want to try and do is get that breath to the bottom, into the abdomen, and fill the lungs up. And in order to do this, all you need to do is as you breathe in, you expand the abdomen. As you breathe out, you contract the abdomen. Now, with this, why I call it bellows breathing is, if you might recall, if you don't, just have a search on Google for a bellows and what a bellows is. So in the old blacksmithing days, it was like a fan with 2 handles on the end and a nozzle, and then they'd pump it, and it would suck in air as they expanded it, and then it would push the air out into the fire, and it would make the fire blaze. So I use the same principle here. So as you expand your abdomen, as it pushes out, that's the bellows being pulled up and it's sucking in the air. And then as you contract, you push the air out. So what this also does, apart from the breathing exercises itself, it also transfers your conscious efforts, your conscious thoughts from one thing to another. So if you're just breathing in and out through your nose, and you're just expanding your stomach and contracting, you're still focusing on the breath coming in through your nose, down into your lungs, out through your nose. Okay. So I want you move that conscious thought, the consciousness, to something different that you're not used to. In shamanic terms, this is often called not doing. So instead of thinking about it the breath going in through your nose and filling your lungs, think about your stomach as a bellows. So as it expands, it's pulling in the air. As it contracts, it's pushing the air out. So it's a very simple method. Now each step you can do 5 to 10 minutes long, depending on how much time you've got. 5 minutes is actually quite adequate. So all you do is you breathe in and you expand your abdomen, you then breathe out and contract your abdomen, or think of it in terms of the bellows. Abdomen is expanding, and as the abdomen is expanding, it's actually pulling the air in. As it's contracting, it's pushing the air out. Now there are, as I say, advanced breath exercises. There is one through the pranayama breath technique, which is alternating nostrils. So I'm not going to go into it now though. It is a very good exercise. If you want to know more, I will speak about it in a future video. Otherwise, you can go search for it online. But it is a very good method, and it's quite interesting how the nostril works and how we actually breathe during the day, and active and passive states and things like that. So go and have a look for it if you want to. But as I say, I'll speak about it in the future. So the second step then is concentration. And concentration is something that is taught and practiced in ceremonial magic and chaos magic quite extensively, actually. So all you basically do with the concentration stage is you pick a dot on the wall, or you can even put a dot on the wall if you want to, and you stare at it. Now you don't have to use a dot, you can use a leaf on a tree, you can use a stone on the ground, just a small point or focal point that you can concentrate on and stare at, basically. So you pick your focal point, and then you just stare at it and you don't blink. If you feel like you want to blink, then don't. Just make your eyes bigger, scary like that. Have to be scary, otherwise it won't work. You just open your eyes and you just stare and you don't blink as for as long as you can handle it. And then when you really can't handle it and your eyes are watering, then close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you see that object, that point at the back of your eyelids. And then you open your eyes again and you do the process again. And you just do that for 5 or 10 minutes. And this helps to calm the mind. But what happens during this process? And some people will tell you that it is a spiritual thing that happens where you are more connected with the source, you become one with the source, and that is true. I'm not going to say it's not true, it is true. But what science found, and they called it the Howler Effect, I think it was the Howler Effect. If I've got that wrong, I'll just put the name at the top here. I'll check. I've already written the blog post about this, but I saw something else. I think it might be the Howler Effect. I was watching something else just now. Anyway, so we're going to call it the Howler Effect for now. If I've got it wrong, I will correct myself. And this is where your brain decides what's no longer important. It's quite clever, actually. So if you're focusing on an object, all the surroundings are no longer important after a while, and what happens is the brain or the retinal cells actually consider that the surroundings to be non-important, and therefore they don't focus on it anymore, and they all blend together. So if most of the color in the surroundings is white, then everything else becomes white around this focal point. But it's not exactly the same as what happens during this process, which leads me to believe that science hasn't quite got it right yet, and they haven't quite figured it out. What happens is when you're focusing on this one point, 3 things happen, or 4 actually. Either nothing. I actually battle with this process and concentration because my eyes tend to flitter a lot. So as they flitter, the focal point changes. constantly. And so often I get nothing. But so I'm going to say 4 things happen. Either nothing, or two, the object that you're focusing on, the point that you're focusing on remains, and the surroundings disappear. Or the surroundings remain and the object disappears. Or the last one, everything disappears. Now, when this happens, don't freak out. It's okay. It's perfectly normal. You're not going to like fizzle out into space or anything like that. So this does happen, and it's quite an interesting process. If you find that this does happen to you and you are interested in divination, then you might want to look into a scrying method where you actually you gaze or stare at your face in a dark mirror or black mirror. I guess I'll if you want me to do a video on that one, then let me know and I'll do that. 'Cause I'm not sure what sources you would find the information on it. It was quite specific. It was something I picked up years ago. So if you want me to do a video on that, just let me know and I'll sort that out for you. But basically, you gaze into a dark mirror and you see a reflection, and eventually your reflection of yourself disappears, and you start seeing visions. As I say, it's a scrying method, like gazing into a crystal ball or something like that. So anyway, getting back to the topic, where was I now? Yes, so we have concentration. So practice concentration, 5 to 10 minutes. Then you go on to number 3, which is body. Now, this is about bringing your consciousness from your mind into your body, so that you have a complete and complete connection with everything. So you don't just want to connect your mind to spirit, you want to also connect your body to mind and spirit, because manifestation and everything that I'm actually talking about here is about the full system, the entire system. So you don't want to, leave something out. So then we come into body. Now, with this part, you can either do, if you want to, and it helps to calm your mind, then do an exercise workout. Doesn't work for me because I'm quite unfit. Something I need to change this year. It is on my vision board. But what you can do is energetic movements. So I'm talking about yoga or Tai Chi, Qigong. And the one I like to do is called Falun Dafa or Falun Gong. It's a nice process. It's a simple process. So pick one, and then you bring consciousness back into the body. And the nice thing about this, even an exercise workout, but mostly yoga or Tai Chi or something like that, it works to basically break up your energy that's stagnant and then move it properly where it's supposed to be moving. Because what happens is we tend to get into a funk, and the energy sort of collects in places and it starts to crystallize and stagnate. Even if we are active people, there are certain movements that we don't do. I remember reading a Jan Fries book some years back, and he was talking about people need to gyrate their hips more. We seem to be so worried about sexual movements and promiscuity and things like that with our hips, we keep our hips still. We don't want to move them because it could indicate some kind of promiscuity within us that we don't want to show people, because it's for some reason become a stigma. I'm not sure why myself, but anyway. So we need to move more. We need to dance. We need to move like a serpent, and to as I say, move your hips more, so that what's happening is we're becoming stagnant in certain positions. The energy's not moving there. It might be moving in the rest of our body, but it ain't moving there. It's still, and it's stagnant, and it's crystallized. And that energy is not moving. Now, when you get to my age, you probably find that you have a little tire around the bottom of your stomach. Doesn't matter how much you exercise and how much you walk, you've probably still got this tire, and there's a reason for it. Your stress as energy collects in the bottom of your stomach, and that becomes a little tire. So with yoga and practices like that, it forces you to move in certain ways that activate that energy and mash it up so that it's not crystallized and stagnant anymore, and it moves it. And so you can get your whole body into the whole flow of things. So try that one. I'm not going to say 5 or 10 minutes here because it obviously depends on the practice itself. It might take half an hour. Falun Dafa, I mean, the first movement takes about 5 minutes really, maybe a bit longer because you do it 3 times. But whatever method you speaks to you really, use that one. Then, once we've done all these, then you can meditate. So this is your stillness part. This is the part where your mind's already calmed down. You just want to calm it down just a little bit more so that you can get that total connection to source and to the universe, so that you can do your manifestation. So what you do during meditation is you go into a no thought state. Now, people have spoken about this for years, and I remember years back, people thought you're not supposed to think of anything. You have to banish all thoughts from your brain, because it's called a no thought state, and they say you're not supposed to think of anything. But it's a bit of a semantic problem here. You cannot not think. There's always, as I said, with the 7 ± 2 rule, there's always thoughts in your head, no matter what state you're in, no matter where you are, there is always at least 5 thoughts in your head. But whereas in a normal state, like I mentioned, you've got the thoughts and your brain goes and takes one and processes it, discards it, and a new thought comes in to replace that one, so you've got all the thoughts constantly going through. As your brain takes one to process it, don't process, let it go. Takes another one, just let it go. Takes another one, let it go. It's almost like reading a book. So you might turn a page on a book and you'll focus on all the words. Don't. Just turn the page. Don't even scan it. You're not even supposed to be reading now. You just let it go. Turn the next page, let it go. Turn the next page, let it go. And that's what no thinking actually means. The thinking in this case is your process, or the way the brain takes the thought and processes it, so it actually thinks about it. So it's quite simple. It might take a bit of practice. Don't think you have to be perfect from the beginning. Nobody is. So you just, as the thought comes in, you just let it go. And just let it go. And every now and again, you're going to start thinking about it. You're going to go, oh, I've started thinking about it. Just let it go then. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's going to happen. Just let it happen. And just let it go. Now, after this process, you're going to be in a very open state. And manifestation techniques are very easy at this stage. So what you don't want to do is then take your phone and start scrolling through it, or watching the news or something like that, especially your phone on Facebook or Instagram, because you might flick through like this and you're just going, oh well, there's nothing interesting, and you're not actually stopping to read a post, you're just flicking through. Problem is, subconscious takes in every single little bit of information as you're going. It can be a nanosecond and it'll take the information in. It knows exactly what was there, it reads it. And you don't want all that information going into your brain, because then your brain's going to be thinking about it, it's going to be sending that out, and you're going to be manifesting that instead of the things you actually want to manifest. So as I say, it's about, you can do as many manifestation techniques as you want, but if you're projecting the wrong thing at the end of the day, you're not going to get what you actually want. So you need to calm the mind, bring it into this higher vibration, or this positive thought, and try and keep yourself in that state. The longer you continue with this process, the better. I do this every morning. I'm actually doing polyphasic sleep again, so I wake up at 3:30, and I do my meditations, and then I pick up a book. At the moment I'm reading Terry Pratchett, and then I read that for half an hour, and then I go back to sleep for an hour and a half. So, depending on your lifestyle and how you can fit things in, then work it out. But it's a very important process, not just for manifestation, but for your own sake, for your own state of mind, just to make sure that you have a balance in your life, that you're not constantly pushing and pushing and pushing and going. You can't keep working all the time. You can't, I get into it myself where I'm just working and working and working because I've got to get this thing finished because I need to make money. But you can't do that all the time. You've got to stop. You have to stop every now and again, and you have to bring a balance into your life. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. And the more you carry it on, the less productive you become if you're not balanced. So make sure you actually bring that balance in your life. So take half an hour a day. It's not going to kill you, and you'll probably get more done during the rest of the day because you are in a better frame of mind. Your mind is calm and you can think better, think clearer. So take half an hour a day and just practice something like this. It doesn't need to take more than that. I mean, obviously, if you're doing yoga, unless there's some kind of shorter program that you can do, and then do a longer one on the weekend or something like that, then see what fits into your schedule and see how much you can do. But I'd say try and do half an hour of this a day. I mean, if you take the breath, concentration, stillness, that's 15 minutes, and then you've got 15 minutes to do a yoga practice, and that's half an hour. It's not a lot of time, and it'll definitely help you. So consider it, think about it. If you've got any questions, something doesn't make sense, just comment below and let me know. And if you do like my content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, definitely comment, and because that helps the algorithm, so more people will see me. And share, please share with anybody who you think could benefit from this video. And that's me. Have an amazing week, have an amazing day, and you will see me in the next video. Cheers.